Some people think that all First Nations have cultural activities like drumming, powwows, sweats, and ceremonies. But I didn't witness or experience any of that as a child or a teen. I had to search for my culture on my own as an adult. I was born in a small town that borders a reserve in northern Saskatchewan called the Ronge. My family was made up of trappers and hunters and spoke fluent Cree. But they didn't know about their culture. They could live off of the land, but they didn't know about their ancestors' spiritual connection to the land. Before the age of 30, I had never smudged, set foot into a powwow, picked medicine, or picked up a drum. I didn't know what it meant to be Indigenous. All I knew was that I had some internalized shame about who I was, that I wanted to let go of. Shame is something I would learn that a lot of people like myself had dealt with, including my friend Megan, who was born and raised in an urban setting in Saskatoon.
A lot of my siblings were like, we're not Métis. There's a lot of racism in it. My mom was actually raised in convents since a small child, and she was classified as Eurasian, which is European and Asian. So my sister would say, we're not native, we're not native, we're Métis, but my mom's actually a Godri from Willow Bunch area, which is a huge Métis settlement, right? And my mom's like, well, I don't know, and would never talk about it. You know what I mean? It was always like, we don't talk about it type thing. Whenever I questioned it, it was almost like it'd start a fight. So I just kind of left it alone growing up. And just with how I grew up, you just kind of knew like there was that negative stereotypes on Indigenous people in my family. Whether that was, like I said, shame or just not knowing about their culture and stuff like that, and only what they see or not heard.
Many Indigenous people felt shame about who they were as a result of the Catholic-run residential schools, which aim to erase Indigenous identity, something my friend Kathy can attest to.
If you're exposed to certain kinds of beliefs and they're really prevalent when you're young, you're going to internalize a lot of that stuff, right? And of course, my mother and her generation, and even the generation before, they didn't even go to residential school, all of them. Like my grandparents never went. But the church was present in the community, and they grew up in an era where the churches were very aggressive, very, very aggressive.
As I got older, I also wanted to hear about my people's history and traditions. Things I would learn were illegal for a long time, such as powwows, dancing, and other types of ceremonies. I grew up experiencing the effects of a generational trauma, which left me feeling empty and with mental health issues. Things I struggled with on my own until I found a knowledge keeper that taught myself and anyone willing what they knew about Indigenous culture. I picked medicine and learned about the connection people had to the land. I went to ceremony and learned about the spiritual aspect of my ancestors. And I learned about the drum as I joined a drum group. As I began to practice these things regularly and learned about the Indigenous worldview, I felt a sense of connection that I realized I was sorely missing. I felt like I was around people that I fit in with and actually began to feel peace. My drum group was invited to sing a few songs during culture days in the Ronge, and I was quite proud that a group of Two-Spirit people and women would be drumming in a town where I felt deep shame as a kid confused about my gender 30 years ago.
My name's Julianna. I don't think I need to introduce myself here. Just kidding. Born in La Ronge, mostly raised here. I'm so happy to be back here, invited to sing.
The drum emulates the sound of a heartbeat. The vibrations of the beat and the voices bring healing. They are medicine. Culture was stripped away from my people, and I want to bring it back to them. And to be able to sing, to drum, in the town where I experienced a lot of pain was very powerful.